Okay, so you've finished installing the app and you've configured your profile permissions. The next thing you want to do is come to the GoToW Setup tab. Then that will land you on the lead management page, and what you want to do here is configure your setup for how you want us to manage your registrants. So once this app is syncing your GoToWebinars into Salesforce, you're going to define here whether or not you want us to create and update leads or create and update contacts. So if you just walk through, it's pretty self-explanatory. This first checkbox here is about the GoToWebinar form and that you ask your registrants to fill out. If you want us to map all those fields into Salesforce, then you want to select this to true. If you're going to do that, then we're assuming you want us to create leads. So also, in this section right here, the first question is create a new campaign for each webinar. If your box says disabled, that means that you didn't purchase our unlimited license or you don't have an enterprise license. So unlimited license, that's the one where you license everybody in your organization. And so we recommend the unlimited license if you have more than 50 people that need access to this data. If you don't have more than 50 users, but let's say you have 5 or 10 or 20 people that are licensed users in Salesforce, enterprise means you're licensing all of those users. So in order to have this enabled, you need to have all your users licensed, or you need to have the unlimited license. You need to send an email to support@CRM Guidance. If this is disabled and you're enterprise or unlimited, we'll have to give you a key to unlock this. So if we're going to create a campaign, then we're going to be adding campaign members, and a campaign member could be a lead or a contact. So just continue through and read each of these questions. To create a new lead for each registrant, click here. And what that means is it's going to create or update. If we are creating leads, but we find that the registrant's email address is a match to a record that already exists on your lead object, then we're going to just update that record. We're not going to create a duplicate. If that's all you know that you want us to do, then select this next field here to ignore everything below this line. And what that does, that's going to uncheck stuff if you've already added it down here. It'll do that once you click on save. So continue down here. So if there's not a matching email address and not a matching domain, so this is related to creating leads or contacts. So in other words, if you want us to create a contact but not create leads, and a registrant comes in, so what we're going to do with that email address of that registrant is we're going to look for a matching contact. If we find an exact matching email address on contacts, then we're going to update that record. If we don't find a matching email address on the contact object, but we find that on your account, on the web address for your accounts, if the email address that came in on that registrant, if that domain matches the domain on the account, then we will create a contact against that account. If we don't find a matching domain match, if we don't find the exact matching email, then we're going to create a lead, even though you didn't check the box to create leads. That's the only way we're going to be able to create a record and add it to a campaign. But continue down here and answer the questions. I'm advising you to ignore the language that asks if you want us to create opportunities or convert leads to opportunities, because that functionality is going to go away. We created this for a customer and that ended up getting purchased, and no one's ever used this, and it caused a lot of confusion. So ignore the functionality to create a lead and to convert to an opportunity. Ignore these fields here that have you setting the opportunity stage. But just go ahead and, again, read each of these questions here and select what's going to best suit you. ignoring the opportunity stuff. So once you configure here to your desire, click on Save. If you can imagine, if we're going to create leads or we're going to create contacts, some of you have lots of validation rules and you have lots of required fields in your page layouts. If that's the case, then you're going to have to come over to the field sets on leads or on contacts. Come to field sets. We have the field set here called default. Go ahead and open that field set, and add those required fields or the validation rule fields to the field set layout. And once you do that and click on Save, then that will allow you to come back over here to this page, and whatever fields you've added to that field set, they're going to appear here. And now you want to go ahead and set default values. If you have a lot of really complicated stuff going on here where specific values set with validation rules, then you're going to want to go to your administrator and ask him to account for leads that are created for the webinar and get him to ignore these so that the validation rules don't apply. Otherwise, this is going to take you a while to set this up correctly. So you're going to add the defaults for leads and contacts. Unfortunately, even though we're not going to affect your opportunities, you're going to need to come to the opportunity page and set the stage and put a numerical value here on this other field. So click on Edit, set a value here, set a value there, and click on Save. Again, when we first created this project or this app, the customer required this, and so we did gymnastics for him on here, but it's not even being used. The last thing you need to do on this page here is set up your sync webinar schedule. So we want to select this box here. You want to select, we have 5 options from once a day to 6 times a day. Most likely you want to, it's up to you. Depending if you have hundreds of batch processes running but you don't have a lot of webinars, then select a less frequent value once a day. So it doesn't, this sync schedule doesn't interfere with your other batch processes. But what this is going to do, this right here tells our app when to wake up and go look on the LogMeIn servers and see if there are any webinars that ended since the last time this ran. And what this will do, this fires off about 5 batch processes. So you're going to see your data comes over in waves. First the registrants, then the attendees, then we update campaigns, then we add the polls, then the surveys, then the Q&A. So it doesn't all just come over in one big blob. So it's a lot of data. So again, once you configure this, make sure you set Save. And so it's already scheduled, so I shouldn't have clicked on that. So no big deal for me. Right. Now, if you click on Save on this page here and you have not set some defaults on these 3 areas right here, come over to these pages and click on your defaults, click Save, and if there's a field that you're missing, then there's going to be sort of a cryptic message here that if you look at it real closely, it'll tell you which fields you're missing. If you can't figure it out, then I would recommend going over to a lead record and attempt to create a new record, and that will tell you the fields that are required. You can do that on leads and on contacts. But once you're done configuring this, then you're one step closer to syncing your webinars over into Salesforce.